right, come have a comfortable seat on your mat. Looks like Bodhi wants to start with us too. Sit nice and tall through the spine. And either gaze low or close the eyes. Bring your awareness and your intention to the physical body itself. Quick body scan from your toes and feet, through the legs, to the trunk of the body, down the arms. Scan from the arms back into the neck and the head. What do you notice? Allow that information to be used in your practice today. Whether it's the knowledge to push a little bit on specific postures or to put the brakes on a little bit more than usual. Then from that body scan, before we get moving, I'd like for you to also just think back on this month within our mantra of witness yourself. Has there been any particular things that you noticed that you want to enhance or that you would like to change, to let go of? And that might be on your yoga mat, or it might be that yoga that we do most of the time off the mat in the world. Let those thoughts flow through the practice, through the body and mind in this hour. Starting here in the next inhale breath, really blow up all sides. Let the breath encompass 360 and maybe even beyond. Exhale. Nice streamline release. Open the eyes now. Look up. Reach the arms to the sky. Left arm down by your side. Reach way up and over. Yeah, next breath, fill up. Reach high. Exhale, reach way over to the other side. And inhale, come on back up. Release palms to the center in Anjali Mudra, kind of nodding, bowing the head for a moment with that intention that you set for practice today. As you release the hands and lift the head, change to all fours on your yoga mat. I've set out my blocks and a strap just so I have it handy. If I ever want to grab hold of it today, feel free to have the same. And once you're in all fours, just nice, easy cat and cow here. And then change to stretch into downward facing dog. Shake the head a little bit, yes and no. Pedal out through your feet. Let your hips maybe shift from side to side as you drop the heels to different sides. And then lower to child's pose, knees apart or together. Press your hips back towards the heels. You can always keep your hips higher in the air if that feels better sometimes along the joints. Have been taking the mantra of witnessing throughout the month. Perhaps now this practice is all about leaning into the ways that the postures feel best to you, even if it's a little bit different than what I offer. I'm your guide. You be the best teacher, observer for yourself. Let's walk the hands over towards the right side now. Reach the left hand out further than the right and try to pull back at the same time on the left hip to get the fullest extension. And then walk the hands over towards the left side. So that should make the left side actually shorten a bit, yeah? But the right side, we want to reach it further, take the right fingertips way out. And when I only reach the right fingertips, my right hip wants to come up, and so it's a little bit of a tug of war to try to press the right hip back down. And then come on back, hands to the middle. Change to downward facing dog. And step the right foot all the way up to your low lunge. Keep the back knee lifted and rock the legs a little forward and back. You can go straighten and bend. This is a good time, especially at the beginning, if you're utilizing blocks today, to place those blocks under your hands. Have a little more ease and room. And then settle into the lunge and lift the right hand up to the sky in your revolved lunge. I start practice like this pretty habitually for a reason, so that we can notice how is it different today, even in the same movement. Perhaps easier to check in and do those body scans with familiar movement. You know how it usually feels, but how does it feel today? And then we're going to down dog lunge, spin the back heel down, walk the hands out towards the left corner. If you're feeling really tighter today, walk the hands more towards the long edge of the mat and see if that helps. Keep broadening the right knee open, more towards the pinky toe side of the foot. And then bring it back around to your regular low lunge. Drop the left knee. Twisted monkey, pull the left heel towards your hip. Reach the right arm up towards the sky. Create a rainbow shape to reach back and hold on to your foot. Release that stretch. Step backwards to downward facing dog and pedal out your feet. Step the left foot forward into the low lunge and start to rock the hips backward and forward. Really breathing through. Stay in the lunge and lift the left hand up. Change to down dog lunge. Spin the back heel down, reach the hands out towards the top corner, or walk them more towards the side, long edge. I should mention another great option, especially if you're not utilizing blocks and want to be more up in the legs, is just hands at the hips or waist. You don't even have to have them down. And then bring the hands back around to the front leg. Pick up the back heel, drop the right knee to the ground. Okay. So reach the left hand out in front of you as you pull your right heel in towards the hip. So it's a nice bend in the right knee. If you feel a lot of quad stretch there, that might be your stopping point right now. A little bit more, reach the left hand up to the sky and then all the way back and around to hold on to your foot. This pose in particular is something I like to have in the mix regularly because it really does shift and change on a day-to-day basis for me based on what other movements I've been doing. Okay, release all the way back to downward facing dog. Bend your knees a lot, walk your hands back to your feet, so we're in ragdoll pose. And in this ragdoll pose, can you take your feet almost as wide as the mat? As ever, keep that nice bend in the knees, hold on to the elbows, sway and drop. If you ever feel dizzy in this position, I prefer to keep the hands down and look a little bit forward, but you still get a lot of that release in the upper body, and that's what we're looking for. We're going to stay right here a little longer than usual, hang out with it for a few more breaths. And that first yen release. Let it be. Okay, now moving on, slowly roll up to standing, shoulders up and back a couple of times. Really exaggerate those shoulder rolls. Shrug the shoulders way up to the ears, tense everything for a moment, and then 3, 2, 1, release it out. Notice how you feel. Let's get into the flow. Lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, fold over and walk out to downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up into the air for a 3-legged dog. Listen up here. It's going to be a little different. You step through to your regular low lunge. Bring both hands to the inside of your foot, kind of like you're going to down dog lunge, but as you spin the back heel down, you're actually going to fully rotate into a lateral lunge and try to sit lower into the hips, Skandasana. I keep the left heel on the ground, but the toes lift up. Try to keep your right foot flat on the ground. Hands help you out. And then turn back to your regular low lunge. Rotate in the hips and legs again. And come up to high lunge, arms to the sky, torso straight up and down. Take it into a deeper twisted lunge, left elbow towards the outside of the right thigh. Tone and turn through the belly. To make this more stable, feel free to have the back knee on the mat. Good. Untwist, set the hands down, step to plank position. Lower down to the mat, cobra, and downward facing dog. Now I'm purposely making the skandasana, that lateral lunge here first in the flow so that we'll repeat it several times over the course of class. Lift the left leg up. Try to stay really present with each time you come into the pose. Step the left foot all the way through. Bring both hands to the inside. And then you're spinning the back heel down. Keep opening the chest and hips more towards the side edge of the mat. And then flex the foot, right toes straight up to the sky. You sit lower in the hips. Do you already notice how that comes in different from one side to the next? Or maybe not at all. I think it's a hard position, so I don't do it as often, I'll be honest. Come back to your low lunge and rise up to high lunge, arms to the sky, torso straight up and down. Take it into the twist, right elbow to the outside of the knee. And again, for today, feel free to take that back knee down to the ground. A couple more grounded points, maybe making it more accessible. Unwind, set the hands down and step back to plank. Vinyasa flow, lower to the mat. Cobra, peel the chest up. And downward facing dog. Look forward to your hands and step or jump all the way to the front end of the mat. Come up halfway. Forward fold. Stand and reach the arms all the way to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. The start and end of these sun salutations is always a nice place to do, again, that quick body scan. It's not the only place. I want it to be noticing happening within the postures themselves. But certainly the end of a round, check in. And then we'll go again. Lift the arms up to the sky. Forward fold. This time step backwards to downward facing dog. Lift the right leg up into the air. Add in here, bend the right knee and point the knee more up to the sky, kind of opening in the hips. Try to keep the shoulders square even as the hips open. So that's usually a little more lift underneath the left armpit right now. And then big hip circles, right knee down and around. I'm pretty sure it was last week that we really emphasized this work, so take it in. Down and around. 3 circles, one direction, and then change the direction. In, around, and up. And step the right foot all the way through into your low lunge. Skandasana, again, that lateral lunge. Hands go way to the inside. Spin on the hips and leg and sit down into the right leg. Extended long through the left. Ooh, What are you witnessing second time around? At least we knew where we were going, right? Maybe that feels a little bit more familiar, even if it's still difficult. Come back around to the front, rise up to your high lunge. And into the twist, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. This time we're coming into warrior two, so untwist. I want you to reach both hands out in front of you first. Pushes the weight more into the front leg so it's easier maybe to rotate, press down through the back leg, and then kind of sweeping the arms underneath you to come upright. If you're doing it a different way, remember, it's totally fine. Warrior two, hang out right here, well-known position. Look out over your front fingertips. Breathe into your space. Every inhale, expanding. Exhale, streamline. Release both hands back down to the mat. Step to plank pose. We did all of that on just the first side. We're going to lower down, lift through cobra, kind of cleanse it out. And then downward facing dog. And let's approach the second side. Lift the left leg high, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, open the hip. Remember here first so that we're not causing any pain or heartache in the wrist and shoulders. We need to lift underneath the right shoulder, right armpit to keep the weight equal right side and left side, and then add those circles. Go both directions 3 times. And step the left foot all the way through into your low lunge. Skandasana, the lateral lunge. Walk the hands to the inside. Sit, weight into the left leg so that you have more room to stretch and lengthen from inner thigh to the right heel. Use the hands or don't. And then you're rotating yourself back around to the front. High lunge, arms to the sky. Take it right into the twist, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Again, here, a little bit of a different approach into warrior two. As you untwist, reach both arms out in front of you, almost like you're going to go to warrior three. Most of the weight goes into the front leg. And then spin the back heel down so the hips can kind of rotate and reset without the extra pressure. Sweep the right hand underneath you as you lift the torso straight up into warrior two. Pose as you know, just a slight different approach. Always makes me notice things in a different way. And if you take the hands back down, pick up the back heel to rotate in the hips again, step through plank. Lower to your mat. This time, Shalabhasana, locust pose. Take the hands back behind you, palms up to the sky. Those good old belly down back bends I know we all love. Lift, lift, lift. You've got it. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the legs towards each other. Oh, really good. Lower it down, press back to child's pose. Again, rooting into the child's pose that feels best for you here. Sometimes knees together can be a little bit more supportive in hips and belly. Knees apart feels good for the widening and the releasing. Bring your torso to sit upright, back on the heels. I'm going to leave us here for 2 minutes. So find your kneeling position that works. It might be all the way back on the heels as you are now, or straight upright. I'm going to put a block between my heels to sit on so I have a little bit of height. Less of that full flexion in the knee feels, acceptable. So when you find your seat, just palms down along the thighs. And even though the outward body here is somewhat basic posture, I want to really lean into a more advanced thought of what's happening on the inside. Can you put a little bit of pressure of the hands down into the legs like they're rooting deeper into the core of the earth? Imagine how fiery and hot the core of the earth is. Let that bubble up from the roots of your legs into the lowest part of your pelvis. And as that fire comes a little bit higher into the belly, it keeps churning. Fire becomes less red and yellow, right? And more blue, white, iridescent as it gets hotter. Imagine the spinning, the churning, lifting higher, higher, higher. To the head, out through the crown of the head even. And as you release the fire out through the crown of the head, then fanning the flames a bit. Back down into the body. Through the trunk, into the pelvis, into the roots of your legs. Use this visualization to continue some of the movement of the practice. Kind of noticing where you want to heat up and where you want to cool down. Stay here for just 2 more breaths. And then we'll crawl out to all fours. Stretch the right leg straight back behind you, toes tucked and on the floor. Maybe rock a little bit forward and back. And then cross your right leg over to the left side of the mat. Shrug your right shoulder towards your ear and gaze over your left shoulder to see your right toes. And then come back to the middle and do it on the second side. Left foot back behind you, toes tucked and on the floor, a little scoop of the tailbone. Gives you a great amount of length in the body along the back side, but with a strengthening aspect on the front. And again, shrug the left shoulder towards your ear. And then turn and gaze over the right. Whoops, we haven't moved the foot, have we? Move the foot and then look over your right shoulder to see your left toes. In yoga hour, this extended leg, they call it tiger tail. I think it's a nice yin approach to the fire of the tiger, keeping toes just down, grounded, feeling a little fan of release and cool. All right, I come back to the middle. Do just cat pose. Press down through the knees, down through the hands, and round your back. Maybe shimmy just slowly from side to side. That always feels so good in the upper back for me. What do you feel? And change to downward facing dog. Walk your hands to your feet. Slow roll up to standing. Rock the shoulders up, back, and down. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Forward. Here from the back of the mat, stand in mountain pose with your hands at the waist and look at the front of the mat. I want you to lift your right knee up into your chest. Okay, first imagine, visualize the biggest step you can possibly take, and then do it. Step way forward into that lunge. Of course, taking care of yourself. Take a few steps to get into the full length as needed, and then lift the arms up to the sky. Okay, here we're gonna flow from this position into Skandasana. Turn the back foot down, and then lean towards the right side. As soon as you get there, you're gonna lift the hips and slowly rotate back around. Now be careful in hips, knees, ankles. I want you to do this 3 times. It doesn't have to be graceful. Sit only as low as you can come back up without using the hands. I kind of have my fingers tied together so that I'm not putting them down on the ground. And then end in your high lunge. Lower both hands down around the front foot. We've already done this. Good old revolved lunge. Lift the right hand up to the sky here. And take the hands back down to the ground for down dog lunge. So now we are leaving the hands down, spin the back heel down and walk the hands out. Down dog lunge feels a little bit more doable after the harder ask of Skandasana to me. Maybe you feel the same. Although I feel a lot of fatigue in that right leg and thigh right now as well. All just points to notice. I hope you're doing those same scans for yourself. Come into the low lunge, drop the left knee to the ground and come down to the forearms, left forearm and then right forearm. This is another great opportunity to use the height of blocks to bring your forearms down, or to simply stay higher on the hands if the forearms aren't accessible. I feel the fire sort of churning up and burning hotter with every inhale, and then that cooling fanning off in the exhale, allowing me to stay here in this dragon pose. The fire is good, the cool is also good. Walk back up to the hands. Shift the hips backwards, straighten the right leg, and fold the torso over the front thigh. We're looking for a hamstring stretch here. We want it into the meat of the back of the thigh, so not at the knee, not at the butt, but right in the center back of the leg is where we're looking for a nice healthy stretch. If you're feeling it at those end points, bend the knee a little bit and see if that helps you, or stay higher in the torso. Then change, come all the way back to regular low lunge, downward facing dog. Walk your hands backwards to the feet. Hands to the waist this time. Stand up, nice long spine. Okay, lift the left knee up into the chest. Gaze towards the front of the mat. Ready? Go for it in 1, 2, or 3 steps. Big, long stance. Eesh. And then arms up to the sky. Kind of in your own time and space, we're rotating between this position and Skandasana, the lateral lunge. You spin the back heel down, open the torso to the side. I like to think of it like yogi squat on the left leg right now, with a nice wide straddle on the right side. Using that visualization to help come and go from the pose. So 3 times, if you can, no hands. It might mean the hips are higher rather than lower. Playing with, witnessing a different height through each of the 3 iterations. And then you find and stay with your high lunge a moment. Release the hands on either side of the front foot. Left hand up into your evolved lunge. Down dog lunge. Hands come to the inside. Spin the back heel down. Try to get the weight into the back foot. So it's really opposite of what we were just doing in Skandasana, where most of the weight is in the front leg, and that's probably why I'm feeling the heaviness in that left thigh, a little more burn, teaching us to try to get it back into the right leg now so that we can sustain this. All right, and then you bring it around to the front, set the back knee down. We're going down to the forearms. Again, use any kind of height that you'd like, whether it's on hands or underneath a block. Maybe you're comfortable all the way down, forearms to the mat. If your forearms reach down, but what you're finding is that difficulty in staying down, really work with that breath. Make friends with the fire, the intensity that comes in every inhale. And try to find that streamline cooling, even blowing out the breath through the mouth on every exhale. Allowing mind and body to come more to play together. Rise back up to the hands as you're ready. Push the hips back to straighten the left leg. Again, kind of in this runner's lunge, trying to get a stretch through that left hamstring. Making sure it's not rooted at the behind the knee or in the butt, but nice little bend in the knee can help bring the stretch into that meaty part of the muscles. Right in the center of the muscles where we're always going for, not at the ends. And then shift all the way back to downward facing dog. Walk the hands back to the feet. Bring the hands to the waist, point the elbows to the sky, press down into the feet, and come all the way up. Kind of reset here, maybe hands down in mountain pose. If you need a little bit more wiggle and movement, feel free to take it. Again, that little pause to allow us to see the intention, how it's flowing through today's practice. Meditative walk to the front of the mat. Can you roll through heel to the ball of the foot? Nice and slow. Walk to the front of the mat. We're going to pick the pace up for one last standing flow before we stay lower on the mat for the rest of the hour. Here we go. Inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Keep your right foot forward, step your left foot back into the lunge. Lift the right hand to the sky and revolved lunge. Drop the hand to the inside of your foot, change to Skandasana. Open up the hips, sit low. Come back around to the front and again lift the right hand up in your revolved lunge. Bring both hands to the waist, torso upright, hands to the sky. We've got another twist, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Untwist, reach the right arm forward, spin the back heel down. Warrior two, lift the torso upright. Right elbow to the right knee, side angle pose, reach long, left arm palm down overhead. Sun warrior, reverse warrior, take the right hand high, left arm down the leg. And hands around the front foot, plank pose. Chaturanga Dandasana into up dog, straight arms and legs, hips high. Downward facing dog. Step your left foot forward into the low lunge. Take the left hand high, revolved lunge. Skandasana is the lateral lunge. Spin the back heel down, sit through the left foot. Come back around to your revolved lunge. Hips forward, left hand to the sky. Release the left hand down and then bring the torso upright, both arms high. Full twisted lunge, palms together, right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. Untwist, reach the left arm forward, spin the back heel down, warrior two, open to the side. Nice work, yogis. Let's keep going. Left elbow to the knee, right hand palm down overhead, long reach. Sun warrior, reverse it all the way up and back. And reverse again, low lunge. Step through plank, down to the mat. Cobra, child's pose. Cool it off. Change to sit on your butt and stretch the legs straight out in front of you. Flex your feet, point the toes straight up towards the sky. Lift the arms to the sky so that you're in as much of an L shape as possible in your body. Yeah, really strong in the abdomen here. Think lower ribs pulling down towards the line of the hips. Kind of a simple picture of a pose. One of those that's harder than it seems, I think. So much work in the upper back. So much work in range of motion. The hamstrings. Breathe here. Stay here. Yeah, really nice. Let's fold it over. Let your upper body round now. And this forward fold, really a letting go. Don't try to hold on to your feet. Just let the arms relax down to the edges of the mat. The one bit of effort here is trying to keep a pretty evenly rounded back. So rounding about as much in the low back as the mid back and upper back. Let each new exhale release a bit more of that fire and just fold in. Then ever so slowly change to lie down onto your back. We're going to stretch our legs. If you like using a strap or scarf that you might have nearby to do this, feel free to grab it. Of course, you can also just use your hands. You're going to lie down onto your back. Start with the soles of your feet flat on the mat. And take your feet as wide as the mat. And then drop both knees over towards the right side. As you do this, we're looking for the left knee to get pretty close to that right foot. If they can touch, cool. If not, mine really don't. And that's, of course, okay. To add a little bit more pressure to this, and actually I think the pressure makes this pose a little bit more doable, take the right heel onto the outer left thigh and give that a little push down. This is meant to be a psoas release. Psoas, P-S-O-A-S. It's that big muscle that wraps from around your low back, around the side of the hip into your upper inner thigh. I constantly witness that my psoas is tight. A tight psoas can also mean some trouble with the SI joint, your sacroiliac joint, staying a little bit crooked, a little bit off balance. None of those things feel good. Give it another moment right here. Release the right heel if it's on top of the outer left thigh. Take the knees up and over to the other side. And if you'd like to add it, left heel to the outer right thigh. Enough fire churning through to allow some release. Enough cooling here in response to allow you to stay just a little bit longer in the pose. And then you'll release the left leg, come back to middle. I like to ground after that by letting the knees fall together. Place the hands on your belly and get really heavy belly down into the mat. And as you part the knees, take the right foot and stretch it up to the sky, either with the help of a strap or your hands. Hands could be behind the foot, the calf, or the thigh. And stretch your left leg straight along the mat, or not. Lower the right leg all the way down. Now we could spend a whole hour just on our back here doing these great stretches for the legs. I recommend doing that every now and again. Today we've got to move right along though. Left leg high. Again, sole the right foot for more ease, or the right leg flat against the mat. Lower both legs. You can get the strap out of your way. Stretch the arms overhead. And then give yourself a nice loving embrace. Say good things to yourself. Like thank you for practice. You are loved and beautiful. And then any last unwinding movements, I welcome you to add that in here, be it another pose, or just a little bit of shaking out. And from that last pose, that unwinding bit, then your final relaxation position. You could lie down or you can sit up. Totally up to you. Let your gaze fall low or close your eyes. And just like we started, do a body scan here. This time purposely, sort of a mindful hug around each body part, a little bit of pressure and tension, and then release, let go. Mindfully walk yourself from the feet, legs, trunk, arms into neck and head. as you are ready, make your way back to a seated position if you're lying back. Perhaps still keeping the eye gaze low or closed. But rejoining in a way that you feel your skin. How's the air hitting your skin? Noticing more of those things surrounding you. And as you come back here, as we're turning towards closing our practice, whether it was just this one practice or all throughout the month that you've been taking a little bit more detail and notice, more witness. I'm going to give you a little homework assignment. Free flow of journal thought. Do it right after we close here or sometime over the next couple of days. What did you notice? No need to call judgment to it, but that might help you just to see what comes out, see what flows through that witnessing, so that as we move towards February, where the focus is going to be to let go. And you'll need to know what you might want to let go of. Let's bring now palms together, thumbs to the sternum. I hope we don't want to let go of the practice itself. And so we'll use the sound Om here to keep carrying us through from the time on the mat to the pieces of the day off the mat. Sing with me, listen or tune it out. Empty the breath. Take a deep breath in. And I bow in deep honor to you, each other, this practice. Namaste. All right, friends, have a lovely Wednesday. Sorry if y'all are hearing those little dings throughout. I think